Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing the end of year book tag. I think this is my first tag on this channel. I used to be obsessed with like tag videos or early YouTube, not early YouTube days, but probably like Zoella and all them. So like 2013, 2014, 2015. I lived off of tags. First, it's early. I woke up early today. And because of that, we need caffeine. Ready? Oh god, my nails. This is my favorite flavor of Red Bull, the watermelon one. I just came back from my last exam period, so I'm officially done with my first semester of my second year of college. You know what I mean? As you can see with all these books behind me, I've compiled a list. I looked at the questions and I have my answers. I got these questions from Destiny Sidwell's channel. The first question was the most disappointing read of the year. I have 4. The most disappointing read of the year was, for me, Villains and Vengeful. This is the Villains duology by V.E. Schwab. And I love V.E. Schwab's books. I gave The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue 5 stars. And I read this last December and I really loved it. And I also read the A Darker Shade of Magic series earlier this year, and I really liked them. Like, I thought the magic system was cool and I thought everything was like so fun, and it was such a fun fantasy. And then I read Villains and Vengeful and it just I did not like it. It was like, I know it's like about the villains, but I just didn't care about the sci-fi-ness, and I didn't think it was cool. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like any of it, basically. I think I gave Villains 3 stars, then I gave Vengeful 2 stars, I think. Next is Children of Fallen Gods by Chris Broadbent. I read Daughter of No Worlds because of Sarah Caroli, and it was okay. It wasn't memorable to me and I just didn't care. Also, the magic system in that world, it was so hard for me to grasp onto and understand. So I didn't like that. But going into the second book, I read Children of Fallen Gods. Such a long book for no reason. I felt like there was nothing to that book and I felt so bored. I was about to DNF it, but I was reading it for a video and I just I had to push through. I gave this a 2.5 stars. Do not remember any of these. I don't remember any of these characters. I just remember Max, and that's it. The last book I put down for my most disappointing read of the year was House of Striking Oaths. I read the first 2 books of the series. I don't know what the series is called. Let me look. Oh, this is the Kingdom of the Crow series. Okay, I read the first 2 books in March, and I gave House of Beating Wings, the first one, by Olivia Wilde, 4 stars, and I gave the second one, House of Pounding Hearts by Olivia Wilde, 4.5 stars. This one I gave 3 stars. I did not like it, and I really enjoyed the first 2. This is more like a romance heavy fantasy, and it's about in this world there's fae-ish people, and then there's crow people that can turn into crows, and then their kingdom, the crow kingdom, was abolished basically. Our main character Fallon, she is in love with the prince of the fae kingdom, and then she wants to be in love with him, and so she goes to seek out her fortune. Her fortune says that she has to do something in order to be queen. Yeah, and then she meets Dante, the king, the Crow King. But the first 2 books I really liked, and then the third book I was trying to remember it, the past events, could not remember it. There was no recap for me to understand, and I just didn't care, and it was so slow. So I gave that 3 stars. Second question is Underdog Book of the Year. My Underdog Book of the Year was Between Wrath and Mercy and Between Hope and Despair by Jess Wisecup. This is a fantasy romance again, and I found this on Kindle Unlimited. Why was it so good? But it was a second chance fantasy romance, and it was just so good because it went back to when the 2 main characters had a little fling going on. Okay, so it follows Emmeline and Rainer, and Rainer's I think he's the prince about to become the king. Emmeline is this is not spoiler. She had a twin sister that was deemed as the chosen one. I think she was deemed as the chosen one, and Rainer and the chosen one were supposed to get married, but then Rainer and Emmeline had a thing. Emmeline she's oh my god, my sister's dead, I can't be with Rainer because blah blah blah, and then she runs away. She gets an arranged marriage because her dad puts it on, and she has a child, and then now everyone thinks that this child is now the chosen one because it looks just like her twin sister. Rainer's still so in love with Emmeline, and it was just so good. It was so good. He was he was so injured that it made the book for me, and I think the fantasy aspect was really good too. I think the storyline could have been shorter and it was dragged out between first and second book a little bit, and it was like a good series and I really liked it. Third question is a book that was overhyped. I read Binding 13 this year and I read it like probably September-ish. I did not like it. I hated it. I know a lot of people like it and like I can understand, but it just felt so Wattpad-y to me, and I was just like, I can't, I don't want to, and it felt so long and dragged out. There was like no thing, and then I just did not care about the romance. I felt icky. I don't know how to like say it, but I didn't like the romance, and I didn't like Johnny. I didn't like how protective he was of Shannon. I just didn't care. Like it was cute at some points, but then it was just like a lot, and I was like, okay, get over it, man. Like I'm sick. I can't do this. I think the second book was better because I felt like the first book was like so much like abuse, and I was like, oh my god, like it's so long and you're just talking about all this abuse. But yeah, some of the characters, like I think because the characters are so young, it's like 17, 18, probably like younger. Shannon was like 15 when it first started. Like the teen boy like dialogue, I hated. It was just so much. I was like, that's when I felt icky. I was like, I don't want to read this. My favorite couple of the year, glad you asked. Let me find them. The first names that I thought of when I heard my favorite couple were BJ Magnolia and then Christian Daisy. I think I'm a Daisy girl. I love Magnolia and I love BJ and I love the Magnolia Parks books, but I love like the angst of Magnolia Parks, but I love Daisy. I don't know what it is about Daisy, but I just love her so much. Those two first, and then I have a recent read. It could be recency bias, but I loved Nolan Sawyer in the book, and I loved Mallory and Nolan, and I just loved this book so much, and I thought it was such a cute YA romance. And then, of course, we have Jackson Evangeline. I'm so upset that I don't have the Barnes & Noble exclusive colors for this, but whatever. I love Jackson Evangeline. I think I read the first two books in January. I think when the new year first started, and I loved them so much. And then I read this one when it came out, and I still love the series, and I think it was such a beautifully done series. It really does make me want to go back and read Carvel because I did not like Carvel when I first read it. Fifth question is favorite main character of the year. I have to say, I have a couple. I have Daisy from Daisy Hates, Zafira from We Hunt the Flame duology. Love this. I love this duology. It was like hyped on Book Talk for a while, and then like I don't really see a lot of people talking about it again still, but like I love it. I think the series is so well done and I love it so much, and I'm so excited for Hops of Heisel's new release in February. It's like vampire heist, like it's good. I'm so excited. Avitus Harper. He is like kind of a side character, not really a main character in the An Ember in the Ashes series, but he doesn't really get introduced until the second, third, and fourth book. But in the fourth book, he really shines, and I loved him so much in the fourth book. So I have Harriet from A Happy Place. I loved Harriet. I related to her so much. She felt like such a, like I could headcanon her as an immigrant daughter, and I just loved it so much because of that. So I loved Harriet. I have Jax from the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, and then I have a bunch. Oh my god, I have Lauren Hale from the Addicted Calloway sister series. I loved Lauren. Leah from The Naturals. I love any Asian character in the book. I eat an Asian character up so much, and I loved Leah so much. Especially in like, I don't know, especially her role in like the love triangle-ish type of storyline in the book. I just could not get on board with the love triangle when I can just see Michael and Leah together. You know what I mean? Like, it just didn't like sit right in my head to have Cassie and Michael together, to me at least, because I loved Leah so much. This book is not talked about enough. I loved The Book at Night by Holly Black. I don't know, it's like, I think the way she writes, and a lot of people didn't like it because it was like more of a modern setting and it wasn't like fairyland, but she is very descriptive in her writing. She'll like say something. She was like, the can was on the counter leaking condensation. Like she'll say stuff like that, and it just like, it's so good to me. Like I don't know what it is. It like really paints like a picture in my head. So I love Holly Black and I love The Book at Night, and I'm so excited for the next one. Oh, the character was Vince from The Book at Night. I loved Vince. He was such a good, I loved him. He was just so cute. Question 6, a book that surprised you. I loved the Prison Healer trilogy. I know a lot of people say like the writing was very matter of fact and it was like not very descriptive, and like she just said stuff and then that's what happened. But I loved the first book. I think I gave the first book 4 stars, and I like the rest of the series just went up from that. But I like, a lot of people didn't like the first book, and so that's when they like stopped. But I love the series and I loved the first book, contrary to popular belief. A book that surprised me was also the natural series. When I first heard this pitched to me as a YA Criminal Minds, I was like, nah, that's not for me. I adore Criminal Minds. I think Criminal Minds was an unhealthy obsession for me. So hearing a YA without like Spencer Reid and like without like actual like adults being in the FBI, it didn't sit right for me. But tell me why I loved it. Tell me why I loved it. Tell me why I ate up Jennifer Lynn Barnes' writing with like very easy to digest like criminal plot lines, but I ate it up. So I loved it and I loved the series. Another book that surprised me was not the Red Rising series, specifically Golden Sun and Morningstar. I heard everyone talk about Red Rising. I think it was over the summer, but I know Haley fam read it. But where I found it was Ashlyn Kaylee. Her and her husband, she was like reading her husband's 5 stars and he loved the Red Rising series. So that's where I like found it out from. And then that was on my TBR, and then Haley fam read it and I was like, okay. Ashlyn loved it and then Haley loved it, and I was just like, I didn't care too much about the Red Rising like first book, but then so that really deferred me from reading Golden Sun to I loved Golden Sun when I read it. I was like, oh my god, Pierce Brown. I feel like Red Rising was just so much like build up and like really understanding the world, which I did not understand the world that much. And then when I got to Golden Sun, I was like able to like digest it more because like I wasn't thrown with just like facts, and I could just see like the storyline, and I just liked Golden Sun, like the storyline better. I think it was crazy, but I think Red Rising does set up the plot and like really well. I think it sets it up phenomenally. So I gave Red Rising 4 stars, probably put it down to a 3.75, and then I gave Golden Sun a 4.5, and then I gave Morningstar a 4.75. It doesn't deserve a 5 stars because of a plot point, but other books that surprised me, I went into depth in this thing. Trust of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. I loved it. I think I gave that one 5 stars. I didn't think I would like it because it was just like a one-off, like kind of like a questy type of fantasy. I mean, I never read anything like it, so it was like so fun. The plot twist got me, and I loved a little rat in the story. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I love a little rat. Next is the One Dark Window trilogy, One Dark Window and Two Twists to Crown by Rachel Gilling. I love One Dark Window. I read One Dark Window and it gave me Over the Garden Wall vibes. I read this during the summer, which is not what I would recommend. I would recommend it like leading into fall, and then I read this one in the fall and it was just perfect. I gave this one 5, and then I gave this one 4.5. New favorite author, I have the Magnolia Park series. I'm not gonna bring up all of Jess's books, but I love Jess's writing and I just love it so much. It's so good. I love the covers. I love the original covers. So I love the Magnolia Park series, and I really fell in love with Jess's writing because of it. I wouldn't say like she's my favorite author ever, but I really came to know and appreciate Ali Hazelwood. I did not read an Ali Hazelwood book before this year, and I was just like very scared because I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about The Love Hypothesis, and I just didn't know if I would like her STEM series. But I read Love Theoretically when it came out, and then I went back and read The Love Hypothesis. I haven't read the second one in that STEMicist series, but I also read Check and Mate. I love Check and Mate, and I loved The Love Hypothesis. I gave The Love Hypothesis like a 4-ish, high 4, I don't remember. And then I gave this one a 4.75. Ali Hazelwood is definitely an acquired writing taste. She does a lot of pop culture references that people do not like, and sometimes I don't really like it either, but like I think Ali Hazelwood does it in a fun way, and like in a funny way that I'm not like cringing at. So I think she does it with taste, I would say. Next is Rachel Gilling. I loved Rachel Gilling's writing. I'm very excited for her next book. Rebecca Ross's writing. I read A River Enchanted and a Fire Endless probably like May or earlier this year, and I loved both of these. I gave this one a 4.5, and I gave Fire Endless 5. And then I read Divine Rivals when everyone else was reading Divine Rivals, and I gave this like a 4-ish, and it was like very good. And I just love Rebecca Ross's writing, and I'm very excited to see what she does next. Number 8, happiest read of the year. I would say Ali Hazelwood better pay me. I've promoted this book so much. Check and Mate was one of the happiest. I just like felt so giddy reading it, and I loved it so much. I think I read this pretty soon after Daisy Hates the Grand Doing, and it just gave me what I needed to give. And I love the chess, I love Mallory, I love Nolan Sawyer, I love the cute romance, and I love Queen's Gambit, and that's what it gave me, and that's all I needed. So I loved this. I felt so happy reading it. What made me really happy but also made me really sad was the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, because I just love the characters so much. They give me such happiness. The second book, The Ballad of Never After, absolutely destroyed me. I remember reading this early January, and it has not left my mind. I was sobbing. So take of that what you will. I think I'm very happy reflecting on the series, but had pain in it. The last book I have in this category is I'm Kind of Perfect. This is the ginormous epilogue book for the Addicted Callaway series. It literally has every POV ever. It has all the core 6. I don't know, it just like wrapped up the series perfectly. And I read all the Addicted Callaway series book January, February, and then I read this one later in the year, during the summer. And it picked up right where I needed it to, and I just felt like so at home with all these characters because I've been with them for so long. So yeah, very happy reading that one and finishing that behemoth of a book. Most frustrating read of the year. I have a couple, but first I have Never by Joseph Hastings. I recently read this, and Peter Pan is the worst character I've ever met in my life, and Daphne's kind of stupid, and then yeah, she's just like you want to bonk her on the head and be like, girl, get it together. And then you just want to throw Peter Pan away. So that was very frustrating. I still love the book, and I still love Jessa's writing. They're just that means she just wrote characters so unlikable that I loved it. On a more hateful, frustrating note, I have Binding 13 and Keeping 13. I told you, I just could not get it. I was just oh my god, I could not connect with these characters. I did not care about these characters, and I felt like it was so long, so much abuse, so much trigger warnings that I was just no, I can't. What's the point in this book? You know what I mean? I don't think it's classified as a YA romance, but in my Barnes & Noble, I think it's the shelving people, but it's in the YA romance section. So I'm huh? You're gonna market this to YA people? No way. Number 10 is the best adaptation of the year. First, Daisy Jones and the Six. Read this last year, I think December, and the adaptation came out this year, so I'm counting it. The book was so good, and I loved Camilla in the book, and I think the TV show did it justice. There were some parts I would change, and some parts I didn't care too much about, but honestly, a lot of people loved Daisy and Billy, and while I don't love it so much, I love Camilla so much. So I don't know, the show did what it had to do, made me feel what I had to feel, cried every episode basically. But another one that I added here, I also put The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This is the prequel book to The Hunger Games. I haven't read The Hunger Games in so long, but I watched the movies recently, I think during one of my breaks from school. So I read the prequel before the next movie came out. That movie rocked my world. I gave the book 3 stars. The movie, 10 out of 10. I love the movie so much. I still think about it to this day. I really want to go rewatch it on my break. And it was it was a 2 hour and 45-minute film. Could not feel like it was shorter. I loved it so much. I wish it was longer. I don't know. It was it's a hyperfixation. I love it so much. I love Rachel Zegler. I love Tom Blyth. I love the whole cast. I'm gonna rewatch it, and when it comes out on digital, I'm gonna download it. I'll rewatch it anytime I want. The longest book I read this year, according to my Storygraph, was Some Kind of Perfect. This is the giant epilogue book from the Addicted Callaway series by Krista and Becca Ritchie. Apparently it was 736 pages. I don't know how accurate that is, but I know it was a long book, and I cannot believe that I forgot that I read this long of a book. The shortest book I read this year was Epilogue Novella 12. That was the shortest book I read. Another short book that I read was Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. This is a memoir, and I loved it so much. This is another short book. Yeah, it was 280 pages. This is Paper Names by Susie Lowe. I really liked this. It was very not plotty, but it was very it just follow the characters, and I love I love the book itself. It's about an Asian American girl and just her her life basically, and her dad's life. Very good. Loved it so much. Number 13 is favorite cover of the year. I have the Magnolia Parks universe. Yep. This duology, A River Enchanted and A Fire Endless, I think they're just beautiful. Once Upon a Broken Heart, the UK editions specifically, I think they're just so beautiful. I put them on the screen. I love them so much, and I wish I wish I could just have them. Next, the Cruel Prince Collector's Edition. You can just see, but here it is. Look how pretty. I love the art inside of it. So pretty. Another one that I love is One for My Enemy by L.V. Blake. I have the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, which is black, but there's the regular edition's white. Question 14, a book that you haven't stopped thinking about? Make this brief. I haven't stopped thinking about the Magnolia Parks universe. It's on my head. It's in my head rent-free every day. Six of Crows. I reread this one after watching the second season, the last and final second season of Shadow and Bone, and reading the series again with those like actors in mind is just so beautiful, and I love it so much. So I love Six of Crows. It's a staple book for me, and I love it so much. Also, I feel like it's so repetitive, but the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. Last but not least, Happy Place. I love Happy Place, and I really am so excited for Emily Henry's new book to release, and then so I can reread Happy Place and brush up on my Emily Henry-ness and then read the new book. Okay, cringiest book that I read this year, Binding 13. Also, the Kings of Sin series. I also read Anna Huang's the Twisted series. I didn't read all of them. I read the first and then the last one. So I don't know why I keep reading these Anna Huang books. I do not enjoy them, but I don't know what it is. Like, they're cringe. I just don't like them, and I don't know what like brings me into them. Another millionaire romance type of book, Between Commitment and Betrayal. I saw it, I read it, and I just heard millionaire fake dating, fake marriage, and I was just like, sign me up. So yeah, it was very cringe, very much spice, but yeah, I just didn't like it. I don't know why I keep reading these types of romances, but I'll continue to read them. Unpopular book I loved was Never by Jessa Hastings. I think she encapsulated what it's like to be in Neverland very well. The book had no plot, and like a lot of Jessa's books don't have a plot, and like you just have to go with the vibes of it. This book really encapsulated the vibes of Daphne being in Neverland, navigating everything, getting to know these characters. So yeah, another one, unpopular book that I loved was The Prison Healer. The first one specifically, because everyone felt the first one was so boring, but I really loved it. So yeah. Question 17, what was the highest and lowest rated books you read on Goodreads this year? Do you agree? The highest book on Goodreads out of the books I read this year was Some Kind of Perfect. This had a 4.66 star rating, and I rated this one a 5, so I really loved it. I think like farther you get into a series, especially like a 10-book series like this, following the characters from the beginning, the book's always going to be like a high rating, because like it's like it's an end of a chapter, it's the end of saying goodbye to these characters, and I just liked it. So I would say I would agree. It's a good book. It's a good book. Lowest rated, Never. This is a 3.06 on Goodreads. A lot of ratings aren't shown right now. I gave that one a 4.25, so do not agree. And like, it's very subjective. If you don't like the book, if you don't agree with the book, yeah, you're not gonna like it. The second lowest rated book was The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. This had a 3.51. I rated this one a 4. I really liked it. It was just like a witch romance. I don't know what you can expect from that. I don't know why it was so low. Apparently people didn't like it. The last book I have for one of the lowest rated was The Book of Night by Holly Black. Like I said, I think it's just the writing, especially because she writes in such a distinct way where she describes stuff so vividly. So when it's in the modern setting, people are like, oh, why did you have to say that? But in Fairyland, like in the Cruel Prince series, she can write all these like very whimsical like types of descriptions, and people won't bat an eye with it. So I really liked it. This one, Goodreads rated as a 3.51, and I rated this a 5 stars. So I definitely do not agree. Ratings don't say everything. Books are subjective. So 19, book with the most unique concept. This has to 100% be Shark Heart by Emily Hebeck. I read this November. One of my Goodreads friends loves this book, and I was like, okay, that was on my radar. And then my best friend made me read that for a video. This is crazy. This concept is the most insane I've ever like read about in my entire life. So crazy. 20, number 20 is book that you would reread all over. I'm just gonna rapid fire them. The Magnolia Park series, the Cruel Prince series, Happy Place, and the Six of Crows, like duology. I would forever reread them. I love them so much. Number 21, we're nearing the end. Reading goal reflection and my 2024 reading goal. When the year first started, I wanted to read 80 books, and then I read 80 books and I upped my thing. So my goal was 130 books, and I've surpassed that. I've read 158 so far as I'm filming this video on December 11th. So yeah, I read 158 books. I've surpassed that, and I'm very proud of myself. I'm like, I love like seeing that number and be like, oh my god, I read that many books. I loved like so many of them. So yeah, for next year my reading goal is 100 books. I felt like I don't want to like put emphasis on myself, like I don't want to like push myself too hard, but I also don't want to not push myself and say like 80 books again. So I think 100 is like a very nice like area to stop, because I would still be really happy reading 100 books, and I think that's just so crazy. I read 100 books this year, you know what I mean? The last question, yeah. After 2023, what are you prioritizing in 2024 reading wise? I want to read classics, and not like all classics. I want to read stuff that like caters to me. So like I want to read Little Women because I love the movie so much. I also want to read Jane Austen's books. I also like, I don't know, stuff like that I like seems interesting to me. I also want to prioritize finishing series. So I want to finish the Red Rising series. I also want to finish the Throne of Glass series. Just like reading new releases. I want to like read stuff that like excites me. I want to read to enjoy my books. So yeah, there's that. That's the end. Oh my god, I have to like chug something. Oh my god, that was so much talking. Now I have to put all these books away. I'll show you guys the aftermath of this. It's so there's so many. This is the aftermath of the video. I have a book right here, some books right there, more books. My shelves are distraught. I have books over here. I have books all over the bed. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. I'll leave all the questions down below if you want to do this tag yourself. It was very fun compiling my little list, seeing the books I read, reflecting on my reading year. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. I love you. Bye. 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 Cheers.